The warm Caribbean sun had barely risen when the sound of new life echoed through the small, private hospital room. Twins, two beautiful, healthy baby boys, had just been born, and for a fleeting moment there was joy. But that joy was swiftly overshadowed by an unbearable tragedy. Emma didn't make it through childbirth. When the doctor came to deliver the news to her husband, Isaac Williams, his world shattered. Isaac, a kind-hearted man with an infectious laugh, had never imagined this moment, becoming a father, would be wrapped in so much grief. He had been ready to hold Emma's hand, to kiss her cheek and tell her how strong she was, how much he loved her. Instead, he stood frozen, tears welling up in his eyes, unable to process the doctor's words. "She didn't make it," the doctor had said gently, as if softer words could lessen the blow. Isaac stumbled into the room where his wife lay. Shock and disbelief registered on his face. Holding his wife's hand, he gave his Emma one last goodbye kiss and left. In the neonatal unit, his newborn sons lay swaddled, waiting for their father. He looked at them, small and innocent, oblivious to the loss they had just experienced. One baby had soft, pale skin, and the other had skin as deep and rich as dark chocolate. Confused, Isaac Williams called the nurse over. "These are not my mine sons." "They are," stated the nurse after making the check. "These are exactly what your wife delivered half an hour ago." The difference was stark, but Isaac's pain was too immense to fully register the shock. In that moment, his grief eclipsed everything else. Isaac sat in silence, holding both babies in his arms. Tears streamed down his face as he kissed their tiny foreheads. They were all he had left of Emma now, these two perfect boys who bore their mother's legacy. But even in his grief, a shadow crept into Isaac's mind, a doubt, a confusion. How could one baby be so fair-skinned while the other had dark skin? Days turned into weeks, and Isaac was consumed by his loss. The funeral had been a blur of condolences and memories shared by family and friends, but nothing could fill the void that Emma had left behind. As he held his sons, Isaac felt both love and an unsettling uncertainty. The thought that Emma might have been unfaithful began to gnaw at him. It wasn't something he ever wanted to believe, but how could he explain the boys' strikingly different appearances? The whispers didn't help either. Neighbors, family, and even distant relatives began to murmur about and question the strange circumstances of the twins' birth. Isaac's mind spiraled into darker places. Could Emma have been with someone else before she passed? Was one of the babies not his? His mother, who had moved in to help with the twins, was his anchor through it all. Gloria Williams, a wise and nurturing woman, saw the growing anguish in her son's eyes and the way he hesitated sometimes when looking at the boys. She had known Emma, known her goodness, her love for Isaac, and she saw the pain her son was going through. "Isaac, you've got to stop tormenting yourself," Gloria said one evening in the kitchen, her voice firm but gentle. She rocked one of the twins in her arms while the other lay in his bassinet, cooing softly. "I don't know what to think, Mom," Isaac replied, rubbing his tired eyes. "How do I explain this? I loved Emma, I trusted her, but one of them is white and one is black. What am I supposed to believe?" "That can easily be solved by taking a paternity test." Isaac sighed. "I had considered that. But if Jacob is not mine, then what am I supposed to do? It's not like I know the father and can give him his son." Gloria placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "I don't know why the boys are different, and I never saw Emma as the cheating type. Maybe it's genetic. I have heard of these things." Isaac's interest was perked. "Do we have black family in our bloodline?" Gloria shrugged her shoulders. "Not that I am aware of. Maybe in Emma's family. Right now, you can't let these doubts destroy what she left behind. You have to raise them, both of them, with all the love she would have given them." But Emma's family wasn't aware of any blacks in their bloodline either. Isaac tried to take his mother's words to heart, but the doubt lingered like a dark cloud. He hesitated many times on the genetic test, as if he didn't want to know the truth. As if he didn't want to know for sure he was raising another man's child. As if it was easier not to know. As if knowing the truth would burst the dam inside of him that he was holding back for everyone's sake. Weighing the pros and the cons, Isaac preferred not to know for sure if Jacob was his, but to tried his best to love Jacob as much as lay within him. As the twins, Jacob and Jordan, grew, it became impossible to avoid the comments and stares from others. Jordan, with his blonde curls and pale skin, looked so much like his mother that it was almost painful for Isaac to see him. Jacob, on the other hand, had curly hair, deep brown eyes, and dark skin that seems so out of place with the rest of his family. Isaac's heart broke each time his sons asked questions he didn't have answers for. All he could tell them was that they were brothers and to always remember that and to stand up for each other. He tried to shield them from the world's cruelty, but he couldn't protect them from everything. One day when the twins were about 8 years old, there was an incident at school that forced Isaac to make a difficult decision. The boys had been in the playground when a group of older kids surrounded them. They started taunting Jacob, calling him names, saying he didn't belong with Jordan because he was too black to be his brother. Jordan, always protective of Jacob, pushed one of the kids away and stood his ground. "He's my brother," Jordan shouted, his fists clenched in anger. "We're the same, no matter what you say." The fight escalated, and the boys ended up in the principal's office. When Isaac arrived at the school, he was furious, not at his sons, but at the world that forced them to defend their brotherhood. He looked at his boys, their eyes filled with confusion and hurt, and he knew he had to do something. He couldn't allow them to continue growing up in an environment where they were constantly judged for something as superficial as the color of their skin. Isaac decided to pull them out of the school and enrolled them in a smaller, more inclusive institution where they could thrive without the weight of prejudice on their shoulders. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right one to make. As the years passed, Jacob and Jordan grew into strong, confident young men. Despite their outward differences, they were inseparable, bound by the love and loyalty that had been instilled in them by their father and grandmother. Isaac, though still haunted by his grief, found solace in watching his sons grow. They were a constant reminder of Emma's legacy, a legacy of love, even in the face of adversity. Late summer vacation, the boys were both on their laptops in their bedrooms. Jacob looked up, a question on his mind, a question he wanted to ask Jordan for some time, but always hesitated. Do you think Mom cheated on Dad?" Jordan answered without looking up. "It doesn't matter." "But," Jacob started to continue. Jordan interjected, "It doesn't matter, Jacob. Just let it rest." "So, you never thought about it?" Jordan turned and looked at his brother. "Yeah, I thought about it, but what good is it going to do? What is done is done. You and I are here. We're family, that's all that matters." "I guess so," muttered Jacob. The question of the boys' parentage, however, still lingered in Isaac's mind. One day when the boys were in their teens, Isaac finally decided to confront his doubts. He decided to do a DNA paternity test, needing to know the truth once and for all. He had spent years loving these boys, raising them, but the gnawing uncertainty had never fully gone away. When the results came in, Isaac's hands trembled as he opened the envelope. The results were conclusive. Both Jacob and Jordan were his biological sons. The revelation hit Isaac like a tidal wave. The guilt he had carried for years, the doubt that had clouded his love for his boys, it all came crashing down. Emma had never betrayed him. The twins were a rare but natural occurrence, a genetic anomaly that had nothing to do with infidelity or deceit. Isaac sat in stunned silence, tears filling his eyes as he realized how wrong he had been to doubt his late wife. She had loved him unconditionally, and these boys, her boys, were the proof of that love. He had wasted so much time worrying about things that didn't matter, when all along, the truth had been right in front of him. That evening, Isaac gathered Jacob and Jordan in the living room. He told them about the test, about the doubts he had harbored for years, and about the results. The boys listened quietly, their eyes wide as they processed the information. "I want you both to know," Isaac said, his voice thick with emotion, "that I have always loved you. From the moment you were born, you were my sons. But I'm ashamed to say that I let my own fears get in the way. I questioned your mother's love for me, and I questioned whether you were really mine. But I was wrong. I should have never doubted it." Jacob, the more soft-spoken of the two, reached out and placed a hand on his father's shoulder. "We know you love us, Dad," he said quietly. You've always been there for us, no matter what. Jordan, always the more outspoken, added, we're family. That's all that matters. From that day on, Isaac let go of his guilt and embraced his sons fully, without reservation. The family grew closer than ever, and the bond between father and sons strengthened with each passing year. The twins, now armed with the knowledge of their unique heritage, carried themselves with pride. They knew that no matter what anyone else said, they were brothers in every sense of the word. And as for Isaac, he found peace at last. The love he had shared with Emma lived on through their boys. And in the end, it was that love, not doubt, not fear, that defined their family. In a world that often judges by the surface, the Williams family discovered that love, loyalty, and the bonds of family run deeper than the color of one's skin. Did you like the video? Tell us where you're watching from, and remember to subscribe for more upcoming videos.